Reporters suggest there was a chaos during a private call among mega Republican House members, as many of them are furious about being told not to return to Washington. They are frustrated with Mega Mike strategy, which they believe has backfired badly. Their constitution are growing increasingly hungry, and several lawmakers reportedly expressed outrage on the call. Dan Crenshaw was said to have yelled, "Why are you telling us not to come back to DC? This is a terrible strategy." Meanwhile, earlier this morning, Mega Mike held what many are calling a mysterious press conference surrounded by yellow mega Republicans who appear to be pretending to work while the public knows they are effectively on vacation. At the same time, Tom Emmer questioned why are Democrats wasting their time talking about the ballroom? What's the point of that? Here, take a look at this clip.
Instead of complaining about a new White House ballroom, how about you try doing your actual job and reopen the government for the people you were elected to serve?
Excuse me, Mr. Emmer, but take a look at this photo. The Republican side of House chamber is completely empty. On the Democrat side, every seat is filled. Democrats are working to ensure Americans do not lose their health care coverage, while mega Republicans are not only trying to strip people of their health care, but also to put supplemental nutrition assistance for 42 million Americans. Then there's Steve Scales as mega Republicans undermine our healthcare system, literally tearing coverage away from families. How? Somehow, that's it's smart to blame Democrats for the damage. Seriously, the American people are not buying it. But go ahead, play this clip.
And they want to talk about health care? Give me a break. Look at what they've done. They've wrecked the healthcare system. They fought to raise premiums on families.
What are you even talking about? You literally refuse to extend the subsidies that keep price low. No one's buying this. Steve Seagal, then there's Congresswoman Mass, who particularly gave the game away when she said, "Do not let the facts get in front of good story." Here's play the clip.
While Democrats posture in front of the cameras, Republicans are actually out in their districts working. Just take a look at the video that we've been playing all morning, right? Don't let the facts get in the way of the good story. Republicans, like the colleagues you see behind me, have been in their district working for the American people who are suffering.
When was the last time Republicans actually held a town hall? Because I keep seeing Democrats doing them all across the country. Maybe two or three mega Republicans have held town hall, and when they did, they were booed and often walked off the stage. Meanwhile, Democrats are hard to work in both the House and the Senate, trying to protect American healthcare and resolve these issues. Democrats leader Hakeem Jeffrey has been especially active. He was just in Illinois the other day, speaking about restricting in response to Donald Trump attempt to rig the midterm. We are now seeing Democrats stepping up in Virginia, Maryland, and New York, with Democrats leader Hakeem Jeffrey leading the charge in those states. There's also movement around pro 50s. Based on much of the reporting, it's look like mega Republicans may be starting to surrender there. Still, we should not get overconfident about how that's playing out. Let's bring in Democrats leader Hakeem Jeffrey. Leader Jeffrey, it's great to see you. We have got a lot to cover. We start with the current status of the Trump shutdown. The last time we spoke about a month ago, you said, "Look, I am here. Let's talk. Let's do it in front of the cameras. Let's be transparent with the American people. I am ready." Then Mega Mike responded to that interview saying it would be too theatrical. And of course, everyone knows Mega Mike and Donald Trump are not exactly fan of the theatrics. So where do things stand now? Leads Jeffrey.
It's day 28 of the Trump Republican shutdown, and Republicans continue to refuse to sit down, have a bipartisan discussion. We've made clear we'll have a conversation anytime, any place with anyone, either here at the Capitol or back at the White House, in order to reopen the government, in order to enact a spending agreement that actually meets the needs of the American people and that decisively addresses the Republican healthcare crisis, because that crisis is crushing everyday Americans, tens of millions of people on the verge of experiencing dramatically increased healthcare premiums, copays, and deductibles. There are people throughout congressional districts across the country who may experience healthcare costs that increase by $10,000, $15,000, or $20,000 or more per year, when more than 90% of the people who receive Affordable Care Act tax credits make around $63,000. This is impossible for people to deal with this level of healthcare cost increases, but it's exactly what Republicans are visiting on the American people.
To be fair, since the last time you and I spoke, Donald Trump has been busy, though not necessarily in a good way. He is destroying the East Wing of the White House, sent 40 billion to Argentina, the travel to Asia, where he's been doing some bizarre dance routines. Meanwhile, here at home, 42 million Americans are about to lose their SNAP benefits, and another 20 million could either be priced out of healthcare and lose their coverage entirely. Yet today, Trump gave a speech declaring inflation is defeated. He said mission accomplished and told US troops to in Japan that Americans is prospering and everyone's doing great. To me, that just adds insult to injury. Literally, when so many Americans are struggling.
Absolutely. And using our troops as props for his propaganda is disgraceful. And he's lying to the American people, of course, when he says that inflation is over. No, inflation is getting worse in the United States of America. Costs didn't go down on day one, which is what Donald Trump promised. Costs are going up. Housing costs are going up. Grocery costs are going up. Childcare costs are going up. Electricity bills are through the roof, and healthcare premiums are about to skyrocket because Republicans refuse to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. And to add insult to injury, House Republicans have now been on vacation for 5 consecutive weeks. They are nowhere to be found. They got out of town in September, and they've refused to come back. And so Mike Johnson has resorted to holding these daily press conferences, which is like a Republican family reunion featuring crazy aunts and uncles talking gibberish to the American people. It's an embarrassment. These people are deeply unserious, and they need to get back to work so we can get the government back open and deal with these issues of importance to the American people, including making sure that more than 40 million Americans don't go hungry because of Republican refusal to spend funds that they know they already have to provide nutritional benefits to the American people, but they want to weaponize hunger as part of their continued cruelty that they're visiting on everyday Americans.
You know, I have spoken with so many members who have given me great historical perspective on this. I recently talked with Congressman Zu Lovin, who's been in Congress since 1995, and she told me about past government shutdown. She said that in those situations, both parties would show up every day. The speaker and the minority leader would be in the room working to hammer something out. I will give you this, you give me that. You what can we do to get this done? But what everyone's telling me now is that this shutdown feels completely different. In this case, Republicans do not even seem interested in talking. From your perspective as the Democrats leader in the House, it's almost surreal. You show up ready to work, but the other side just cover their ears and refuses to engage. How does that dynamic even play out? Because as you have since repeatedly, we are here to talk. Let's have the conversation. Let's do it publicly. And even when you have said, okay, if you prefer it private, fine, let's just talk. they still say, no, we are not doing that. So, how do you even navigate in that kind of environment?
Yeah, the Republican behavior just validates the point that we continue to make, which is that Donald Trump and the Republicans shut the government down and now refuse to reopen it. And it's totally unreasonable for them to think that Democrats are going to provide votes for a my way or the highway approach to a spending bill that hurts everyday Americans across the country, including their own constituents. And we've said for weeks now, both before Republicans shut down the government and over the last 28 days, that we will not support a partisan Republican spending bill that guts the health care of the American people in the midst of a crisis that Republicans have inflicted on hardworking American taxpayers. That's been our position from day one, and it's not going to change. And so I think what's going to happen over the next few days as we approach the open enrollment period on November 1st, at which point Americans all across the country will now realize that because of the Republican healthcare crisis, their healthcare premiums and copays and deductibles are going to explode in ways that the average everyday American cannot afford. People are going to be unable to go see a doctor. People are going to experience medical bankruptcy. And as a result, everyone is going to be adversely impacted, other than the billionaire donors that Republicans continue to support as part of their determination to subsidize the lifestyles of the rich and shameless. The whole thing is out of control. Well, this is why Republicans are reeling. The American people continue to hold them accountable for shutting the government down. And even Marjorie Taylor Greene understands that this issue around healthcare affordability that we have raised is a serious one, and it needs to be decisively addressed.
And Leader Jeffries, let's talk about your recent trip to Illinois, both Chicago and Springfield, where you met the member of the congressional delegation and local legislators. Democrats are realizing we have to fight fire with the fire. We need to push back against Donald Trump's efforts to rig the midterm. Here in California, Proposition 50s remain incredibly popular, and Democrats are saying we are like our independent commission. We want fairness in Congress. Democrats have constantly called to end partisan gerrymandering, overturn Citizens United, and create the most transparent and fair election system possible. But we are operating in a political landscape where Trump and the MAGA movement are openly trying to cheat, rig, and steal election, and we have to respond. That's why so many people are noticing your efforts. Little Jeffrey is traveling to Illinois, New York, Virginia, California, and beyond, showing that Democrats are fighting back nationwide. Tell us about that because it feels significant. I think Democrats in these states understand this is not just politics anymore. It's essential. Our constitution, our democracy, and our country are literally online.
Absolutely. The American way of life is on the line, and we cannot allow Donald Trump to gerrymander congressional maps across the country unanswered as part of his effort to rig the midterm elections. Donald Trump shouldn't get to decide who's in the majority in the aftermath of the 2026 midterm elections. That decision should be made by the American people, which is why we are strongly supporting the effort in California. I'm so thankful for the leadership of the California congressional delegation, Gavin Newsom, the legislative leaders, organizations on the ground, labor, and the partnership that has been undertaken to make sure that people are voting yes on Prop 50 to stop Trump from stealing the election. And we have to run through the finish line there. But we know that beyond what Republicans have done in Texas, they've now gone in and stole a seat in Missouri. They stole a seat in North Carolina. It just convened a special session to take place next week in Indiana, where they want to take a seat or two. They're scheming in Ohio. They may be scheming in Florida. This is an all hands on deck effort. And so I had very positive conversations with the legislative leaders in the Illinois General Assembly yesterday, both the Speaker and the Illinois Senate President. They both acknowledge this is an existential moment. We cannot unilaterally disarm, and all options have to be on the table. And so I look forward to those discussions that are taking place in Springfield over the next day or so. And I'm also appreciative that every single member of the Illinois congressional delegation on the Democratic side yesterday issued a statement saying to their legislative colleagues they support revisiting the congressional map to respond to the extremism that Donald Trump is now unleashing on the American people.